The city of Oakhaven did not sleep. It rotted. Detective Silas sat in the amber glow of his office, the air thick with the smell of stale coffee and old sins. For months, a shadow known only as Graft had been leaving gifts across the district bodies that were no longer entirely human, their interiors replaced with clicking gears and preserved carrion. Silas stared at the latest file, his heartbeat a frantic rhythm against the silence of the precinct. The call came at 3 a.m. The scene was an abandoned watchmaker's shop on the edge of the docks. Silas stepped over the threshold, his flashlight cutting through the veil of dust. There, propped against a workbench, was a woman Silas recognized, Sarah, a witness he had protected 5 years ago. Her eyes were gone, replaced by polished brass spheres that hummed with a low electric vibration. Silas knelt beside her, his breath hitching. As he moved his light, he saw the rhythmic rise and fall of her chest. She wasn't dead. Graft hadn't killed her. He had transformed her. Inside her open throat, Silas could see the glint of a silver pendulum swinging in time with her shallow breaths. The horror wasn't the violence, but the preservation. Graft was fixing the fragile nature of life with the cold permanence of machinery. "You always did have a soft spot for the broken ones, Silas," a voice rasped from the rafters. Silas spun around, his service weapon drawn, but the darkness was absolute. A figure dropped from the shadows. Graft. He moved with a sickening, jerky grace, his coat fluttering like the wings of a moth. His face was hidden behind a porcelain mask that mimicked a weeping angel, the cracks in the ceramic leaking a thick, black oil. Silas fired, but Graft was gone, disappearing behind a row of grandfather clocks. The detective pursued him into the depths of the shop, the ticking of 1,000 gears drowning out his own footsteps. He felt a sharp sting in his neck, a tranquilizer dart. The world began to tilt. As Silas fell, he saw Graft looming over him, the killer's gloved hand reaching out not to strike, but to steady him. When Silas awoke, he was strapped to a cold steel table in a basement that smelled of formaldehyde and grease. Graft was there, hunched over a tray of surgical instruments that looked more like a jeweler's toolkit. The killer moved with a terrifying precision, sorting through springs, cogs, and strips of tanned leather. He didn't look like a monster. He looked like a creator at the peak of his craft. "I saw what the world did to them after you saved them," Graft whispered, his voice vibrating with a metallic resonance. He leaned over Silas, the porcelain mask inches from the detective's face. "The trauma, the decay, the eventual end. I am giving them the one thing you couldn't, a life that never fades. I am the mercy you were too afraid to provide." Graft picked up a scalpel, the blade shimmering with a cruel light. Graft turned away to reveal his masterpiece. In the corner of the room stood a figure draped in red velvet. With a flourish, Graft pulled the cloth away to reveal a man Silas had once called his partner, a man who had died in the line of duty years ago. Now he was a grotesque marionette of flesh and gold, his jaw moving in a silent, mechanical loop, his wooden fingers clicking against one another. Rage flickered through Silas's veins, fueling a desperate strength. He kicked out, his heavy boot catching Graft in the chest and sending the killer reeling into a rack of chemicals. The table groaned as Silas strained against the leather. With a sickening pop, his thumb dislocated, allowing his hand to slip free. Graft lunged, a jagged piece of glass in his hand. His mask shattered to reveal a face that was more stitchwork than skin. The struggle ended in silence. Silas stood alone in the rain outside the shop, his breath coming in ragged gasps. Graft was gone, lost to the fire that had consumed the basement, but the victory felt hollow. Silas looked down at his own hand, the one he had used to pull himself free. Beneath the skin of his wrist, he felt a rhythmic, metallic clicking. The mercy had already begun.